At first glance, waxed paper and parchment paper seem almost identical. Both are thin, smooth, slightly translucent sheets commonly found in kitchens, and both can be used for wrapping food, separating layers, or making cleanup easier. Since they're often sold side by side, it's easy to assume they're interchangeable. But there's one crucial difference: waxed and parchment paper handle heat very differently. So what really sets them apart? Let's find out right here on History of Simple Things. Let's start with waxed paper. As the name suggests, it's ordinary paper coated with a thin layer of wax, giving it a smooth, slightly glossy surface that resists moisture and grease. This makes it useful for wrapping sandwiches, covering food, separating layers, or handling messy ingredients. It became popular in the 19th and early 20th centuries for protecting and wrapping food long before plastic packaging. Parchment paper has a very different history. The word comes from the ancient writing material made from animal skins, though modern baking parchment is made from plant-based cellulose and specially treated to create a heat-resistant, non-stick surface. Many types are also coated with silicone, which helps prevent food from sticking while allowing the paper to withstand high baking temperatures. And this is where the biggest difference appears. Parchment paper is designed for the oven, while waxed paper generally is not. Parchment can withstand typical baking temperatures, although its exact limit depends on the manufacturer. Waxed paper, however, has a coating that can soften or melt under high heat, potentially causing the paper to smoke or even ignite. So while they may look nearly identical, they behave very differently when exposed to heat. This distinction becomes especially important when baking cookies. Imagine you're making a batch of chocolate chip cookies and you run out of parchment paper. You see a roll of waxed paper nearby and think, it's basically the same thing. Unfortunately, that's not a substitution you want to make for direct oven baking. The wax can melt onto the pan or food, and the paper isn't intended to withstand the same heat. Parchment paper, however, is almost perfectly suited to this job. Its non-stick surface helps prevent cookies, pastries, roasted vegetables, and other foods from sticking to the baking tray. It also creates a barrier between the food and the metal pan, which can make cleanup dramatically easier. Instead of scrubbing baked-on sugar and grease from the tray, you can often lift away the parchment and simply wash the pan afterward. But parchment paper isn't just about convenience. Its thin barrier can change how food cooks by reducing direct contact with hot metal, which can affect the texture of baked goods. It's also used in en papillote, a French technique where food is sealed in a parchment packet and baked, allowing steam to gently cook ingredients like fish and vegetables while trapping their aromas. Waxed paper has its own strengths, though. Because it's moisture-resistant and easy to handle, it's excellent for cold or room temperature preparation. If you're making candies, you can use it to place individual pieces on a surface where they won't stick as easily. It can also be useful when separating layers of foods before putting them into the refrigerator or freezer. And if you're rolling out dough that doesn't need to go directly into the oven, waxed paper can provide a smooth, disposable work surface. There's another interesting misconception worth clearing up. Waxed paper isn't automatically unsafe just because it touches food. Its primary limitation is heat, not ordinary food contact. Food-grade waxed paper is specifically manufactured for use with food. The problem arises when people confuse food safe with oven safe. Think of it this way. A plastic container can safely hold soup, but that doesn't mean it belongs on a stovetop. Waxed paper is similar. It's useful for food, but not high heat. Parchment also comes in bleached white or unbleached brown varieties, with both working similarly for baking. It's sold in rolls or pre-cut sheets, with the latter offering the convenience of lying flat without curling. And then there's one more kitchen material that sometimes causes confusion: aluminum foil. Foil, parchment, and waxed paper can all be used to line surfaces, but they aren't interchangeable either. Foil is excellent for high-temperature cooking and can conduct heat directly to food. Parchment provides a heat-resistant, non-stick barrier, while waxed paper is best for wrapping and preparing food away from high heat. As a simple rule, waxed paper is for wrapping and preparing, while parchment paper is for baking and cooking. Waxed paper's coating helps repel moisture and grease, making it ideal for wrapping food, separating layers, and other cold applications. Parchment paper, meanwhile, has a specially treated surface that resists sticking and can withstand the heat of an oven. They may look almost identical, but their different coatings give them very different jobs in the kitchen. The next time you reach for that familiar roll in your kitchen drawer, take a second look at the label. If you're wrapping a sandwich, separating layers of food, or covering something in the refrigerator, waxed paper may be exactly what you need. But if you're sliding a tray of cookies into a 350-degree oven, parchment paper is the safer choice.
Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.